Today on Dr. Phil. He's 30 years old and has fathered 40 children.
40 and 11 on the way.
Kyle says he hopes to populate the world with his offspring and even feels he's doing us all a favor by spreading his DNA.
I've already met quite a few of my kids.
They're not your kids.
And expertise.
You want to be the #1
Fertility doctor.
You don't have one day of training as a fertility doctor.
I don't have the education and training on it, but I have the experience.
The unanswered questions.
Why is it free? Does he get STD tests? Any sort of blood tests?
So you don't charge.
Don't charge.
But you do have a crowdfunding page.
And now,
I have no issue with it.
should the donor meet his offspring?
What are you going to do when you bring that?
I'm not going to lie to her.
So you want to introduce him as the donor? I would recommend against, but it's your child, it's your decision. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Well, one look at my guest today, Kyle Gordy, and you may think he appears to be just your typical 30-year-old guy. What you don't know is that this 30-year-old says he has fathered 40 children with 38 different women all across the world and 11 more on the way, and he has no plans to stop anytime soon. Kyle, who some regard as the world's most popular sperm donor, says he lives to help couples in need by spreading his good genes. He also claims he's a fertility expert and doesn't charge for his services. Now, after reading about Kyle's story online, 30-year-old Morgan, who is a Dr. Phil viewer, wanted me to investigate him further. Let's hear what he told my producers a few days ago during his field shoot, where he requested to stand during the entire interview as he claims sitting just might affect his fertility. Take a look.
For the past 8 years, I've been a private sperm donor. In turn, I've helped singles and couples start a family and realize their dreams. Some have been so happy, some of them have referred to me as like a modern-day savior. I don't feel like I perform miracles, so to speak, but I have got the women pregnant that were told by doctors the chance of getting pregnant was very slim. I have what you would call super swimmers. Out here is a potential client, and somebody contacted me to possibly help them out. I probably donated to about 150 people. I fathered 40 children and another 11 on the way. These kids live in 11 states in the United States and even Mexico. In some ways, I'm kind of like Superman Clark Kent. You know, I got my day job, and at night, I put on my cape and become like kind of like a superhero. I've traveled all over the United States. I've traveled even to Europe. I've traveled to Sweden and the United Kingdom, making donations and giving samples to women in need. So what I got here is my website where women and couples can go and get some fertility advice on how to get pregnant. A lot of people are interested in my services. This is usually how they contact me. Typically, we'll email, we'll text a little bit, and we'll just talk about the process, and then, you know, we end up meeting up. There's two ways we can do this: artificial insemination, and the other is just naturally through sex. The artificial insemination, typically they'll take a cup with my sample and then they'll inject it. This is a 10-milliliter syringe, so typically they would suck up the sample and the female would use for conception. I think usually sex is the most effective way to get pregnant. There has been a couple times where the woman did want it to be romantic through, you know, something like the boyfriend experience. I've had some women at the end, you know, after we're done, they like to cuddle or they like to talk and get to know each other more. I don't charge for any of my services because it's not about the money, it's about helping them out, having a child. I feel like I'm definitely better than a sperm bank. You have clinics switching out vials, you got different embryos switched around, and then you also have these grandpas going around impregnating patients, and no one wants to get pregnant by a grandpa. Come on, that's like, come on, it's your grandpa. In my eyes and clinically, fresh is way better than frozen. I'm 10 times better than a fertility doctor because I've tested all these things. I know what supplements to take, what lifestyle choices to do. I know pretty much way more than any doctor does. I would say I'm probably the #1 fertility expert in the entire world. And I can say that confidently because I actually do get these women pregnant. Hey, how you doing? Great. Yeah. Thanks for the applause.
Well, I'm glad you're willing to sit for this.
Well, you know, I had to.
Yeah, you do. So you say you're the #1 fertility expert in the world.
I would say I probably am. You know, I've actually tested these theories and stuff, and whereas fertility doctors, they just look at, research articles, where I've actually read the research articles and I've actually tested theories.
Well, you made a lot of statements. You said, I have what you would call super swimmers.
Yes.
Fresh is way better than frozen.
Of course.
I tell all the moms if the kids become billionaires, they need to give me $1 million.
You know what? I think that's a fair trade.
So you've got a whole list of do's and don'ts that, like we were talking about. So let's take a look at you giving us a guideline of the do's and don'ts.
I would consider myself an extremely fertile guy. There are lots of things I do in my daily life to stay very fertile. Diet plays an extremely huge role in my fertility. Since I eat a healthy, organic, very healthy diet, my sample is very strong and I'm able to have a high success rate compared to the sperm banks. I got spinach, I got broccoli, organic. If you're watching, eat spinach if you want your guy to get you pregnant. I don't really eat meat. I do eat fish once in a while because when I was in London, I had 4 pregnancies in a row. So I have like canned tuna and stuff. Here's my supplement stash. Got all this good here. I got vitamin C, I got vitamin E, I got zinc, vitamin D, B12, a multivitamin, and a few other little random ones. Where's my cup? I need to go get my cup of water. I got my cup. I use a tin can. This is just temporary. This is a temporary cup. It's my temporary cup because I don't own a cup. I take about 20 supplements a day, and that will help me get my super sample. So bananas are good just because, I don't know, just have bromine in them. It's something like that. It's like bromelain or bromine or something. There's certain things you can do to help your fertility, such as avoiding products with phthalates. I use natural toothpaste, organic coconut oil for shaving cream, and I use organic natural shampoo. Taking cold showers is good for your fertility because it increases your testosterone. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't know, being constricted. You don't want to wear tight boxers or pants or anything. You know, I never wear boxers or anything. I just wear nothing. So people can just, I'm like a free bird, you know what I mean? Sitting for long periods is not good for you because it can decrease your fertility. I would say exercise is very important to my fertility. Follow my regimen, and you're guaranteed to get your wife or partner pregnant.
So you know all of this how?
You know, you test the theory.
Did you go to school?
Yes, I went to university.
And what did you study?
Accounting and finance. But I do the research, you know.
Yeah, you've done that on your own.
Yeah, done that on
What
my
are the top 3 things that women are looking for in a partner that they want to have children with?
Someone who is, you know, smart and has masculine features and who is a good provider.
Well, actually, the research says age, they look for that, education, height, blue or green eyes, personality, and ambition. So you're in the age group. Height, you probably don't fall into that desirable category.
Well, I don't know. It's different for every woman.
Well, actually, they like 6 foot or above.
Oh, okay.
But you would know that because you're the top expert in the world.
Well, you know, everyone chooses.
What color are your eyes?
My eyes are brown.
Yeah.
But these are just features. You know, this is just a feature, you know?
And ambition. And your ambition is you want to be the #1.
Fertility doctor.
Yeah, but you don't have 1 day of training as fertility doctor.
I don't have the education and training on it, but I have the experience of doing it.
Yeah. So why do you want to do this?
I want to help people out and start families. And also, you know, I enjoy seeing the kids grow up. It brings a smile to my face.
You refer to them as your kids. You say, I have...
Oh, children. Children,
I have 40 kids.
The children, yeah.
But they're
the
not
children.
really yours, right? You're a donor. You
Yeah.
donate this to someone else, and they're their children.
But I am involved in some of their lives. You know, some of the moms like it that I'm involved. I see the kids. A lot of moms really love that. That's why they don't want to,
Sure.
you know, feel comfortable going to a bank, because at the bank, like, it's really sad because the donors at the banks don't really want anything to do with the kids. They just
Sure.
want to make money.
Yeah,
I don't charge.
But you recognize they're not your children.
Yes. No, I completely understand it.
You say you don't charge.
Don't charge.
Okay, but you do have a crowdfunding page.
Yeah, I
that you
did
put
set
up just November.
Yes.
But this is for expenses.
Yes, for
Because
travel.
sometimes you have to travel around.
Yes.
You're not doing this for profit. Just
No, I
to
don't make
cover
any
your
money.
expenses. Yeah.
I've lost money, dude. Over the years, I've lost, you know, probably over 20,000 in supplements.
On your crowdfunding page, you say, I am a free sperm donor that travels the world to help women start families. I have a lot of success, but travel costs can be too much for some families. Covering my own travel costs on a regular basis is not feasible either. I'm asking for donations, which will be used towards travel costs associated with donating my sperm around the world. Funds will be carefully allocated to women and families in need who will provide a caring home for the future child or children. Anyone who donates over $5,000 will get to name one of my donor children with the mother's permission. Hope you will find it in your heart to donate to this great cause. And you set a goal of $30,000?
Yeah.
How much have you collected?
I think it's like 50.
Kyle says he has fathered 40 kids, in his words, 11 states and one in Mexico, but not for long. He took his services global. We're going to meet one of the international moms-to-be after a break.
It's kind of hard to explain, but the kids I've met.
It's not hard to explain if you know what you're doing. And you have no more idea than a goose where this child is developmentally at the age of 3. You just know what you want. And what you want is not in my top 100 considerations.
Monday.
He believes that he may be a narcissist, but insists that he can change.
The brother.
You think this is a manipulative ploy?
I think it's more of an attention grab for him.
The daughter.
I gave my dad an ultimatum. I said he has to pick me or he has to pick his girlfriend. Unfortunately, he picked his girlfriend.
Now.
You really wish Bridget had been here so you could tell her what?
That I love her?
Well, hang on. Just tell her.
That's Monday. Then on Tuesday, she's engaged to the man of her dreams.
She's 60, he's 22, he's in Nigeria.
Love you so much, baby.
I've purchased a plane ticket to Nigeria so we can be married.
Her family says it's a scam.
You are very concerned.
It's crazy.
The city is considered very dangerous.
We just want to be together.
The State Department says do not go.
That's Tuesday. And in a trust,
I need major repairs to the house.
but no control over her money.
I've been told I have brain damage.
It's her damn money.
I'm pretty humble. I don't really like to brag. People in my family have PhDs, they're lawyers, they're scientists. I'm okay in the IQ department, you know, it's 125. I've done my DNA testing, I'm half Ashkenazi Jew. They do say that Ashkenazi Jews do have the highest average IQs in the world. And on top of that, the smartest guy in the world was an Ashkenazi Jew named William James Sidis III and had an IQ of 250. In a sense, I may be doing the world a favor because I am possibly the reincarnation of the world's smartest guy ever. Having all these kids is exciting because there's a chance that someone could be the next Albert Einstein, an NBA star, or the next president of America. I tell moms, hey, my only rule is if the kids become a billionaire, you gotta give me $1 million.
Okay, well, we're back with 30-year-old Kyle Gordy, a freelance private sperm donor who claims to have fathered 40 children with 38 different women. Now, Kyle says he hopes to populate the world with his offspring and even feels he's doing us all a favor by spreading his DNA. Now, last month, he took his services international. He has credited 3 pregnancies in the UK and 1 in Sweden to his donations. Joining us virtually from Suffolk, England, is a couple, Alice and Catherine, who Kyle donated to roughly 6 weeks ago. Alice, Catherine, how you doing?
Hi, yeah, really good.
Are you now pregnant?
I am.
Okay. And so how did this go down?
We drove down to London
and we met him at a hotel, and he like talked us through everything, and then she had to sit with her hips up on a pillow for about 45 minutes.
Uh-huh. And how long before you had a positive test?
It wasn't even 2 weeks.
And what did you learn about his medical history, background, STDs, that sort of thing?
So that was one of the questions when we were speaking on Instagram, and I kind of asked, you know, are you like clean of STDs? And he sent me like paperwork to prove it, that he'd been checked and that everything was fine. So we were happy with that.
So if there's something in his genetic history that predisposes an offspring to some disease, you don't know about it.
But then, like, you could say that if somebody sleeps with someone on a one-night stand or someone they don't know. So I don't see that there's a difference here. I mean, Kyle made us feel at ease through the process, obviously before and after.
And he didn't charge you anything?
No, absolutely nothing.
He was just there to help out and help you start a family?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and best of luck to you with your pregnancy.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Well, let's hear from another of the moms Kyle donated to and her husband.
Thanks to Kyle, I have a beautiful 3-year-old daughter. When I was 18, I was in a relationship with a woman, and we wanted to have a baby. I wanted to find a private donor. I met Kyle through a friend, but he's got this website where there's conception details and information about fertility and how to contact him. I gotta hand it to him. He certainly knew a lot more than I did. But what I liked about Kyle was he was very smart, and he was kind of goofy, and he was very healthy. He seemed like the perfect guy to father my child. The process with Kyle was artificial insemination. About 2 weeks later, I took a pregnancy test, and I was pregnant. When I found out I was pregnant overall, I was very happy. It was something I always wanted, and Kyle helped me make it happen. Since my daughter was born, I've started a new relationship. My husband, Jalen, and I have been together for 3 years. Cardi, she's actually the first of my 3 children. I've got another little boy who's 2 and 1 on the way. I'm 6 months pregnant. We're so excited.
We're gonna have a house of 5, so many personalities. We have a beautiful little family. Famani and I have raised Kari together. I've been there ever since she was 6 months. The fact that I did not bother Kari does not bother me. I still treat her as my own. She's a daddy's girl, and so I look at her as such.
Kyle and I have kept in touch, but he's really not involved in her life. At the moment, Kari doesn't know about Kyle. I was waiting until she was older to understand it fully. With Kyle, I'm very grateful for him and the service he provided. I couldn't even begin to imagine my life without my daughter.
My little baby girl, Kari, is the world to me. That's my only daughter. She is a queen to me. I call her my princess, but I'm just preparing her for the future. But that's my baby. I love her.
Well, it's good to meet you both.
You too.
You too. Good to meet you.
So, Jalen, how do you feel about meeting Kari's biological father for the first time?
It's actually good to meet you, and I'm glad that we're here.
Yeah, it's great to meet you, too, and thanks for raising her. I mean, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
How do you know that?
Oh, I see updates and everything.
We have like a group chat with a bunch of other moms. We'll send pictures and videos.
Mm-hmm. All right. And has Kyle been involved in her life at all?
They've never met or anything or talked, so not much.
Now, you actually want Kari to meet Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, I mean, it's going to happen sooner or later, and I didn't plan on lying to her as she got older, so.
And how do you plan to introduce him to her?
As her biological father.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why?
That's who he is.
Yeah. Biologically.
Yeah, I mean, I'd break it down, obviously, that how we
I have
did
no
it,
issue
but
meeting the child.
Pardon me?
I have no issue being involved or meeting the child or getting her to know me. I really have no issue with it.
Are you interested in my opinion? It's your child, it's your decision. You do whatever you guys think is best.
Absolutely.
Can I chime in? I've already met quite a few of my kids,
They're not your kids.
When it comes to family finances...
You interested in my opinion?
Yeah, sure.
I don't think it's a good idea.
For her to meet him?
Correct. I think she's not even 4 years old yet, and I think the idea of this whole concept is something that she doesn't have the constructs for and doesn't have the understanding of what that means, and I think that would be potentially confusing for her at this point. Joining us today is Dr. Charles Sophie. Dr. Sophie is a child and family psychiatrist. He's a member of the Dr. Phil Advisory Board. He actually met with Kyle over the weekend to do some other kinds of studies. What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, I think you're not understanding fully, as Dr. Phil said, her emotional and mental capacity to support these kinds of concepts, but also you're going to disrupt and have a fallout. She's going to get disrupted in her relationship with your husband. It's going to make her question, who were you in a relationship with when you had her then if it wasn't him? Why did you have her when you didn't love somebody? Like a lot of questions that are conceptual that could take a child and turn them upside down and really make them go in another direction when they already have a stable life.
At that level is something I would recommend against, but it's your child, it's your decision. You do whatever you guys think is best.
Absolutely.
Could I chime in a little bit on this? Just to give an opinion. I just want to give like my side about it a little bit. I've already met quite a few of my kids. And
they're not your kids.
Okay, I met quite a few of the donor children. And see, this is the thing. I understand, like, you may say, well, she may not be able to comprehend it. But it's also, a lot of times these moms want their kids to know me as soon as possible because then they won't have to feel that regret, like they never lied to them. It's kind of hard to explain, but the kids I've met...
It's not hard to explain if you know what you're doing. You have no more idea than a goose where this child is developmentally at the age of 3. You just know what you want. And what you want is not in my top 100 considerations. My considerations are what's in the best interest of the child, but I'm not interested in explaining that to you because you don't get a vote. I'm interested in explaining it to you guys and you guys deciding what you want to do, and you can think about it at the break and decide what you want to do. We'll be right back. Summer is the season where most kids look forward to no school, lots of free time, and warm days to go out and play. But for many children, summer means by going to drphil.com because summer is no fun when you're hungry. So it's up to you guys.
I know that she's doing broken tongue. This is your friend?
Yeah, we on a Dr. Phil. We just make it pretty much about, like, her getting to meet Dr. Phil. I understand what he's saying, but at the same time, it's like, what else can we really... We just go ahead and introduce her to Dr. Phil.
I'm not saying that's your friend.
Okay. Well, whatever you want to do, baby.
You guys have been chatting a bit about what you want to do with Kari. What did you decide?
We'll still bring her out.
Okay. And what are you going to do when you bring her out?
I'm not going to lie to her. I'm going to tell her he helped me create her. Like, that's who he is. So.
Okay. So you want to introduce him as the donor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. You want to, one of you want to go get her?
No problem.
Okay. After hearing about Kyle's story online, my next guest wrote to me saying she felt something was off and wanted me to look into him further. Take a look.
When I stop and think about what Kyle is doing, I get very concerned about the safety and health of these women putting themselves out there and desperately want a child. A few weeks ago, I saw Kyle's social media. At first, I felt, wow, here's this guy offering help to people that are less fortunate. But when he mentioned the physical part, it was a huge red flag. Looking at Kyle's website, I feel that it's more about glorifying himself rather than actually helping these women. It didn't feel like any medical professional or advocacy group was overseeing this website. It seemed to be just strictly Kyle. For all we know, he could be making all this stuff up. It's just Kyle being a self-proclaimed expert. I have a ton of questions. Why is it free? Does he get STD tests? Any sort of blood tests? I bring my own personal experiences to the table. I am a survivor of sexual abuse. As a young girl, I was assaulted from the ages of 8 to 11. In some ways, I am an advocate for women. What I really want is for the women that do choose to work with Kyle to really have a solid understanding of this person and what they're getting into, and hopefully avoid any pain and regrets further down the road.
Well, Morgan, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What's your radar telling you that makes you the most uncomfortable with the concept?
What concerns me is that on the website, it just has medical professionals. There's not a doctor listed. There's not some sort of medical person regulating this. And I want to make sure that the women and children know 100% all of the medical, all of the psychological, everything.
Yeah.
Because the only person that's backing up Kyle is Kyle.
Yeah.
From what I can tell.
Well, that's great. I actually did do all those tests. I actually did a genetic testing on Sunday. I did a full STD test and a sperm analysis over the weekend as well. I mean, you go to a sperm bank, you know, you have a old man grandpa who uses their own to impregnate patients. I mean, that's not consent. So you're taking that big risk going to a bank. But with me, at least you know what you're getting.
You do get all of that information. All the clinics, you do get all that information. Profile, psychoanalysis, they test for 250 things. And I'm sorry, I know you said you just got tested, but was there testing prior to this?
Not before the weekend, because you can already see the kids I have, the kids that I've helped create, and you could see how they turn out.
You should take some responsibility in this. You know that you are going to these people, that these people are coming to you. It is your responsibility to make sure that you are safe and you have the tests.
I have all the tests.
But not prior to today. So
I have it now.
But what about the women before this weekend?
The kids are fine.
I understand the kids are fine.
They can all talk to each other.
I'm talking about personal responsibility.
We also have the ability.
I'm not talking about the kids. I'm talking about you.
I never reject the idea of do genetic testing. The thing is, women feel comfortable with me to not do genetic testing.
Robin, what do you think about what Morgan's saying?
I completely support you 100%. Yes.
All right, Jalen, you want to bring Kari out?
Okay. You can see my mommy, okay?
Hi. You see who that is? Look.
Hey, what's up?
Are you gonna speak?
No. It's okay.
What? Aw, hey.
She's really shy. She doesn't really talk to people anyway.
Well, I sure like your puppy purse.
He likes your doggy.
He
You
likes
want
your
to show him?
doggy. You gonna show Dr.
No.
Phil?
Nice doggy right there.
Do you want to show them?
Well, Kyle claims he's more knowledgeable than a fertility expert. We'll see about that when we add Dr. Daniel Potter, a board-certified endocrinologist, when we come back.
Monday.
He believes that he may be a narcissist, but insists that he can change.
The brother.
You think this is a manipulative ploy?
I think it's more of an attention grab for him.
The daughter.
I gave my dad an ultimatum. I said he has to pick me or he has to pick his girlfriend. Unfortunately, he picked his girlfriend.
Now.
You really wish Bridget had been here so you could tell her what? That I love her? Well, hang on. Just tell her.
That's Monday. Then on Tuesday, she's engaged to the man of her dreams.
She's 60, he's 22, he's in Nigeria.
Love you so much, baby.
I've purchased a plane ticket to Nigeria so we can be married.
Her family says it's a scam.
You are very concerned.
It's crazy.
The city is considered very dangerous.
We just want to be together.
The State Department says do not go.
That's Tuesday. And on Thursday, she has millions in a trust,
I need major repairs to the house.
but no control over her money.
I've been told I have brain damage.
It's her damn money.
That's the...
I live an extremely healthy lifestyle, and I'm definitely a fertility expert. I actually test theories myself. I take supplements, I do this type of lifestyle choices to see how good my fertility will be affected or not. But doctors, on the other hand, they only just look at journals and be like, okay, yeah, that works, that's gonna work, without actually testing themselves. Doctors are just bogus. All they want to do is take your money. They don't really give a about if you have a baby or not. You know, to me is I care. I actually want you to have a child. What I provide is well above and beyond what any medical doctor, fertility doctor can provide you.
Now, joining us on stage is Dr. Daniel Potter, an internationally recognized fertility expert and author who is also a board-certified reproductive endocrinologist and infertility specialist. Also joining us is Dr. Charles Sophie. He did a full blood panel and a semen sample analysis on Kyle. So welcome to both of you. Dr. Potter, thank you so much. Dr. Potter, what do you make of all this?
I mean, I think it's reckless. I mean, I feel that, you know, consenting adults, if they want to make some kind of arrangement to do something like this, it could be done in a much safer and less hazardous manner. The other aspect of this that concerns me is the number of children that he claims to have produced. And it creates an environment where maybe not in this generation, but the generation where that little girl, when she has kids, there's going to be the potential for unwittingly entering into a consanguineous relationship, which would, you know, result in children having a higher incidence of various genetic diseases.
Particularly because of the geographical concentration.
Absolutely.
And ethical sperm banks would generally not have more than 10 offspring in a metropolitan area, I think you were saying?
Ethical banks will limit it to, you know, 10 families in the United States, for example.
I see. You say 10, and you have 30 and
40 and 11 on the way.
But you have most of them in the LA area.
Maybe like 35 in California, but I also keep track of them, and we also, like, I have a detailed list of their locations and information. So we all, like, there is no risk of incest there between all these moms because we all keep in contact and everything.
You don't know where they're going to go or who they're
But they all know each other. That's the biggest thing here.
Well, as Dr. Potter is saying, it's the next generation where you have the problem. Right?
Absolutely.
Dr. Sophie, you did some evaluations. What'd you find out?
Well, physically, I did some routine blood work. Everything was fine. You know, we reviewed them off stage, and they all look good. It's your mental health that I'm concerned about. Do you think that you just made the best decision in the best interest of that little girl to bring her here and do that to her?
The parents chose to do it. Like I said, I think it was, I support whatever decision they want to do, and I think it was a great decision.
That's you being in denial of your narcissism, because whether you like it or not, you're stroking your ego every time you have a child, or you can say you've done this. And it's irresponsible.
Both of us said very clearly we did not think it was in the best interest of the child. And you completely disregarded that and said, I want to meet the child. I want to meet my child. And I had to say, that's not your child. But you completely disregarded two experienced people in the field and said, oh, I'm good to go. Does that give you any pause whatsoever to think, you know, maybe I'm putting my interest ahead of the child's?
Me and the mom already talked long before this about me meeting the child. It wasn't something like it was going to happen soon either way. Mm-hmm. So we decided, like, it wasn't just one person. Like, we all decided, we all agreed it was best for her. There's no issue with it. I understand
now
people
answer my question.
What? I didn't force them to do this. This is up to them, the parents.
You won't answer the question.
Okay, gotcha. That answers my question fully, completely, and in spades. My next guest also has a few questions for Kyle. That's next. I'd like to add someone else into the conversation, Angelo Allard, who is the general supervisor at Seattle Sperm Bank, who is focused on donor eligibility and compliance. I just would like to hear your take on Kyle's general position.
I would say that it's very similar to what Dr. Potter shared, in that it is reckless. You know, there are a lot of ways to do private donation in such that it would be so much safer than the experiences or what has been described on the show today. The role of the FDA that governs banks is not to dictate who or how you have children, but rather just to make sure that if you're going to be doing or assisting in third-party reproduction, and the transfer of human cells and tissue products, that the correct screening and testing has been done. And I always applaud and encourage when I see these situations of known and directed donors, because it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have these connections like Kyle's talking about. But there's a way to go about it in such that it makes it much safer for the donor, for the recipients, and eventually for the child.
Mm-hmm. With multiple trials, what is the success rate?
You know, there's a lot of variables, specifically on the female side of the fertility. Age is a big one for the intended mother. Mm-hmm. But in general, what we see is about 4 to 5 attempts before a pregnancy report.
And your success rate works out to be about 39%.
So usually it depends on their age. Usually, you know, obviously if they're under 30, it's going to be a lot better. But overall, you know, it's probably around in the 30%. 30%-ish, so per cycle. Usually I do it 1 or 2 times, 1 or 2 donations a cycle.
Mm-hmm. What do you see the biggest risk in doing it this way?
I think just reiterating what's already been said, and that it is, you know, the lack of the screening and the testing, specifically the infectious testing done around the time of the specimen collection or specimen transplantation. And additionally, one of the things that I don't think anyone's talked about is the risk assessment or the risk criteria that the regulation calls for, going over 54 points of risk criteria that have to be addressed that aren't addressed in a blood test. They're not addressed in a genetic test. They're not addressed in a infectious test, that also need to be assessed to make sure that these risk criteria meet with what is acceptable to donor eligibility determination.
Yeah. Well, you're singing Morgan's song right now. 54 would just be getting started for her. My advice for Kyle when we come back. Want to know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, live strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else. Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today. Well, Kyle, you haven't really asked for my advice, but I'm going to give you some to consider anyway. Not that you'll particularly embrace it. My advice would be, you've heard a lot of people today that have said caution is a really good rule. And when you're talking about someone's family and their children, that's a real serious thing. And I think that your intentions at the core may be good. I don't think you're some evil guy. I'm not saying that at all. But I think when you're dealing with something as serious as someone's family and child, you know, why not take the most cautious possible road that you could possibly take? And if somebody says, you know, there are 54 different things that they check off that don't come out of a blood test or whatever, I'd be finding out, what the hell are they? You know, what are the kind of things that I should be checking? If you've done 40 of these things and 11 on the way that maybe you've overstayed your welcome, and maybe you should move on to something else, like working in foster care or something. Find another passion in contributing to the world that maybe you're a little too present in the donor pool. But I just think it would be endemic upon you to listen to feedback and weigh it very carefully and see if there's value in what you've heard. This is a place that you need to be really careful and really cautious, because if you run afoul of something, then it impacts somebody's life. And hopefully you'll take some of the feedback and fold it into what you're doing.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of my guests today, including Dr. Charles Sophie, Dr. Daniel Potter, board-certified endocrinologist, and Angelo Allard, General Supervisor at Seattle Sperm Bank. For more information about today's episode, log on to drphil.com. And don't forget to follow and subscribe to my podcast, Fill in the Blanks, where Judge Rosemarie Aquilina, known for presiding over the Larry Nassar case, walks me through her life and how she earned her nickname, the Barracuda. You don't want to miss that. Also, check out Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret with Robin McGraw. We will see you next time. Thanks so much.